Imagine 800 new housing units, 1.2 million square feet of office space, and 15 acres of parks transforming a single peninsula neighborhood, and that's just one of the $5 billion developments reshaping the Bay Area. While most investors are looking elsewhere, these mega projects are creating high growth corridors where property values could surge 15+% faster than surrounding cities. If you're considering the Bay Area real estate market, these game-changing developments demand a complete strategy rethink and reconsideration, especially the fifth project that savvy investors and residents already are quietly positioning themselves around. Let's start with the revolutionary change that most people completely overlook: Foster City's Single-Family Objective Design and Development Standards Initiative. This isn't just boring paperwork. This changes the game for homeowners and investors, and the numbers here tell an amazing story. In April, Foster City launched what we call a Single-Family Objective Design and Development Standards Initiative. Now, I know that sounds like a mouthful of bureaucratic jargon, but here's why it matters. It's fundamentally transforming how homeowners can develop their properties into three critical areas. First, it streamlines the process for primary residence renovations and expansions. Second, it makes adding accessory dwelling units so much easier. And third, it fully implements SB 9's urban infill projects, which literally allows you to build multiple units where one stood before. A key aspect of this initiative is how it's removing subjective language from the approval process. Permit reviews are now faster, more predictable, and less vulnerable for appeals and delays. For homeowners looking to enhance their properties, this means clearer rules upfront and greater flexibility for making improvements that add value. What really sets this initiative apart is how they've consolidated all those fragmented rules. Previously, you had to navigate separate guidelines for fenestration and mechanical equipment placement, and drought-tolerant landscaping requirements. Now it's all in one streamlined document with clear, objective standards. When I'm showing properties to clients in Foster City now, I can tell them exactly what they'll be able to do with their property without any subjective interpretation from the planning department or the building department. The ADU component is where things get seriously interesting for investors. Foster City has integrated its program with pre-reviewed design options that streamline the process, similar to how they're fast-tracking biotech development approvals. We'll discuss when we look at Gilead's massive expansion. The potential for rental income from these units is substantial, creating revenue streams for homeowners who previously weren't maximizing their property's potential and just occupying the property that they live in. ADUs are becoming increasingly valuable in our market where housing is so limited. And if you think this is smart, you're not going to believe what they're doing with their biotech expansion in the area. We'll cover that in a little bit. But here's what makes Foster City's approach truly special. They fully integrated SB 9's provisions, which allow you to build up to 4 units on what was previously a single family lot. You can have 2 primary homes plus 1 ADU plus 1 junior ADU, depending on where your lot sits and how big it is. This literally quadruples the development potential for these properties, creating the same kind of value multiplier effect we've seen for Project Parkline's mixed-use approach later in this video. Throughout the Bay Area, we're seeing that properties with ADU and development potential tend to command higher prices than comparable properties that have smaller lots without these options. The market is recognizing that added value that comes with flexible development potential, especially in areas with limited housing supply, which is basically everywhere. Most homeowners don't realize they're sitting on potential income property right now. While Foster City is revolutionizing how individual homeowners can maximize their property value, let's head over to Menlo Park, where they're redefining the landscape of how people move through the city. If you think quadrupling your property's development potential is impressive, wait until you see how Menlo Park is transforming its infrastructure with a $5 million flood protection investment that's creating appreciation zones in neighborhoods most investors typically overlook due to added flood insurance on their annual expenses. But before we dive in, let me tell you something. I could charge thousands for market intelligence I share here, but I'd rather build something more valuable. A community of informed investors and homeowners who spot opportunities before the market does. Hit that subscribe button and you'll never miss the market insights that you could make all the difference in your next real estate decision, even if it's just for your first single-family home purchase. Infrastructure isn't sexy, but it's what makes or breaks property values. And Menlo Park is making 3 critical infrastructure investments that smart investors and homeowners are watching very closely. The properties near these improvements, they're going to see appreciation that will make others really jealous. Menlo Park is investing in creating a connected bike and pedestrian network, modernizing stormwater systems for flood protection, and preserving heritage elements that give the city its unique identity. According to national studies, these type of infrastructure improvements are among the most powerful drivers for property value growth. Let me break down the bike and pedestrian upgrades first because they are fascinating. A key project is Willow Road's Safety Project, which is adding protected bike lanes with physical barriers separating cyclists from traffic. They're also adding new pedestrian crossings in what has historically been a high traffic corridor with safety concerns. Another significant project is the Middle Avenue Caltrain Underpass. As of 2025, this project is still in the planning phase, with construction originally targeted to begin in 2025, according to city staff statements from 2023. This grade separated crossing will connect east and west sides of the city, which have been divided by the train tracks. What's significant about these improvements is how they're aligned under the city's transportation master plan, creating a multiplier effect where each individual improvement makes others more valuable. Following the same design logic that Project Parkline applies at even more ambitious of scale. Just wait until you see those numbers. National research consistently indicates that proximity to trails and greenways can increase home values by 3 to 15%. For example, one study from Minneapolis and St. Paul found that home values increase for properties closer to bike trails as reported in the Almanac newspaper. Think about what this means for daily life. If you live near one of these upgraded corridors, you'll be able to safely bike to Caltrain, downtown shops, parks, and schools without getting into your car. For families with children, this kind of safe connectivity is extremely valuable, and buyers are often willing to pay premiums to be able to have alternative transportation methods. The stormwater investments are another critical component that most buyers overlook. Menlo Park is implementing green infrastructure and biowells and permeable pavement throughout the city. They're also collaborating with the Safer Bay project to address sea level rise. What makes their approach notable is their 25-year stormwater master plan, which includes a hydraulic evaluation of the city's storm drain network and is designed to handle major storm events and anticipate climate challenges. A notable element is the Chrysler Pump Station renovation project, with FEMA granting $5 million to replace the aging facility to protect against 100-year flood events and future sea level rise. The green infrastructure delivers multiple benefits simultaneously: biowells preventing flooding while creating beautiful landscaping, reflecting the dual-purpose design thinking behind Foster City's new recreation center coming up next. The third piece is their heritage preservation work through the Enhanced Heritage Tree Ordinance, which protects oaks with a circumference of 31.4 inches and greater, and other trees of circumferences of 47 plus inches. This balanced approach selectively protects elements that give neighborhoods their distinct character, creating stable areas with predictable aesthetics. The Heritage Tree Ordinance is especially valuable in our climate, where mature tree canopies provide natural cooling, reduces energy costs, and improves air quality. When combined with improved mobility and flood protection, these elements create neighborhoods that are truly resilient long-term, which is exactly the same approach that's making Project Parkline's 28 acres of open space so valuable, as we'll discover shortly. The properties that will see the most significant value enhancement are likely those within walking distance to these improved transit corridors, as much as the whole city will benefit. While Menlo Park's infrastructure will boost property values by 3 to 15% based on data, what's happening in Foster City is absolutely next level. They're investing tens of millions into a new recreation center that's going to transform how families decide where to live and where to buy. And the real kicker, it connects directly to a fourth development that's poised to reshape the peninsula. The Foster City Recreation Center replacement might sound just like another community building, but this is a different level of amenity that's going to redefine what residents expect from their cities. This is the kind of development that literally changes buying decisions for families. Foster City is replacing its aging 1970s era recreation center with a modern 40,000 square foot community hub that will serve as the heart of the city's social and recreational life. I've reviewed the architectural plans, and the facility features a gull-wing 2-story concept, creating amazing natural light and flow throughout the building, drawing inspiration from architectural innovation found in Gilead's upcoming biotech campus. The expanded indoor areas include dedicated spaces for fitness, arts, ceramics, senior activities, rentals, all integrated into the Leo J. Ryan Park to connect indoor and outdoor experiences, echoing the seamless indoor-outdoor integration being championed throughout Project Parkline's 63-acre master plan. The numbers are eye-opening. Usable space will more than double, rental capacity will increase by over 100%, and structural issues like water damage and HVAC inefficiencies will be resolved. The project stands out for its thoughtful multi-generational design. Youth programming thrives in flexible spaces, while dance classes benefit from specialized flooring and acoustics. Art enthusiasts gain professional-grade studios with ideal natural lighting, while seniors have specifically designed spaces that accommodate mobility needs with comfortable gathering areas and easy access to outdoor spaces for activities. One of my clients and now friend who's been using an existing rec center has told me she's excited about the expanded programming for every age group, especially when she has extended family living with her. The new facility includes multiple rental spaces for different sizes with built-in audio-visual capabilities and flexible seating arrangements. The same kind of innovative multi-use design philosophy we'll see in Gilead's research buildings, which is also reshaping Foster City's economic future. The importance of seismic resilience in these community facilities often gets missed in typical analysis as well. The new center meets modern earthquake safety standards and specifically designed as an emergency shelter with backup power systems, water storage, and communication infrastructure that will function during disasters, adding security for nearby homeowners. The impact on property values could be substantial. Homes near parks and recreation centers in the Bay Area have shown significant value increases based on perceived desirability, especially within a quarter mile of a public park. The recreation center's location in Leo J. Ryan Park creates a powerful combination of active recreation facilities with passive park elements, which mirrors the community-centered design approach we'll see in Project Parkline's massive 9-acre central commons that's going to redefine peninsula living. But if this recreation center sounds impressive, just wait until you see how it connects to our next development. Foster City isn't just creating amenities for residents. Foster City is quietly becoming a biotech capital for the peninsula, and almost nobody is talking about it. With Gilead Sciences expanding its campus and Parkside Towers converting to R&D space, we're seeing a massive shift that will bring thousands of high-paying jobs to the area. Let me throw some numbers at you about Gilead's expansion. They're adding nearly 240,000 square feet of cutting-edge research space with 2 new 5-story R&D buildings at 331 and 335 Lakeside Drive. These aren't just ordinary office buildings. They include specialized labs, pilot production facilities, and even a sky bridge to enhance campus connectivity. And here's the kicker. This is just the beginning of a 72-acre blueprint with a 2.5 million square foot build-out potential. The architectural firm Gensler is designing these facilities with LEED Gold sustainability goals, focusing on key research areas like virology, oncology, and inflammation. Meanwhile, Parkside Towers, a 373,000 square foot complex, is pivoting from a low-demand office use to specialized R&D labs. This conversion is being fast-tracked thanks to Foster City's recent zoning changes that specifically allow life sciences in a town center. A standout feature of the biotech expansion is the specialized nature of these facilities. These are purpose-built research spaces with complex infrastructure for specialized scientific work. The companies making these investments are committing to Foster City for the long term, creating sustainability that's incredibly valuable for the housing market. Just like the community-driven development process, we'll explore Project Parkline, which doubled its housing commitment. Unlike volatile and unpredictable tech sectors, biotech shows remarkable resilience through economic cycles. Companies developing essential medications maintain operations even during downturns, creating the stable demand patterns that savvy real estate investors and homeowners prize. Something fascinating about biotech campuses is how they create their own ecosystems. Once you have anchor companies like Gilead establishing major operations, you'll start to see suppliers, service providers, and complementary businesses locating nearby, creating the same kind of vibrant mixed-use ecosystem that Project Parkline is designing from the ground up. And wait until you see the incredible 800 housing units. The talent these facilities attract is another key factor driving housing demand. These highly educated professionals typically seek quality housing in good school districts with amenities that support an active lifestyle. With Foster City's limited inventory, this growing employment base could influence property values in ways many investors and homeowners haven't factored into their analysis just yet because they don't know about these projects. What most investors miss is how specialized job creation creates housing demand patterns entirely different from general employment growth. You've seen how 2.5 million square feet of biotech space in Foster City will transform property values. Now get ready, the next one is the most ambitious development of them all. I've mentioned it a couple times in this video, Project Parkline, and it makes everything else we've covered look small in comparison. We're talking about 800 housing units, 1.38 million square feet of commercial space, and 28 acres of parks in a single master plan community. And investors and homeowners who are getting in early on this information, they're going to see returns that potentially could get everyone jealous. This is a big one, guys. Project Parkline isn't just another development. It's a complete reimagination of how we live, work, and play here in the Bay Area. The scale of this project is mind-blowing, and it's going to create ripple effects across the entire peninsula real estate market. Project Parkline represents one of the largest redevelopment efforts in Menlo Park's history, transforming a 63 SRR International campus into a vibrant mixed-use neighborhood that will set new standards for community design in the Bay Area. Here's what the data tells us about the massive project. 800 housing units, 552 market rate, 248 affordable units, representing a 31% total. There's 1.38 million square feet planned for office, R&D, and life science space. And perhaps the most impressive, over 28 acres of publicly accessible open space, including 6 acres of parklet and 9 acres of central commons that will become the heart of this new community. The residential component is particularly exciting. They're building 46 townhomes, approximately 600 apartments, and 100% affordability integrated into the master plan. They're dedicating 1.6 acres of land to a nonprofit specifically for affordable housing development. What's strategic about this mix is how it's designed to house a diverse demographic from families to essential workers, creating a truly integrated community. Something fascinating about this site is its historic transformation. It was originally home to SRI International, a research giant that literally invented technologies we use every day, like the computer mouse and even Siri. The site is being repurposed from a closed R&D campus to an open, walkable community that will be accessible to everyone. What's really incredible about Project Parkline is how community-driven the growth has been. The initial proposal called for 400 housing units, but the final proposal doubled to 800, following the advocacy by Menlo Together and other stakeholder groups. The developers gathered over 1,000 survey responses and conducted 45 site tours to shape the final plan. This level of community input is almost unprecedented for a project of this scale. The transportation and bike infrastructure is another game-changing element. They're building over 2.5 miles of bike and pedestrian paths and more than 1,200 bike parking spaces and even repair stations throughout the development. There will be new Class 4 protected bike lanes along Laurel and Class 2 lanes on the Loop Road. And they're creating direct pedestrian access to Caltrain via the Ravenswood Avenue Parklet, making this a truly transit-oriented community. But here's what really is exciting about Project Parkline. Its extraordinary sustainability commitments. They're decommissioning a 6 megawatt natural gas power plant, which eliminates emissions equivalent to 62 million miles worth of car travel. This takes the green infrastructure approach we saw in Menlo Park to a completely different level. All the buildings will be all electric, targeting LEED Platinum certification. And they're even building an emergency water reservoir of 2 to 3 million gallons for long-term resilience. When we look at property value implications, the data is crystal clear. Transit-oriented developments consistently outperform average market appreciation across the Bay Area. Just like we saw with Foster City's ADU potential, creating extra value, but this time at a neighborhood-defining scale for a brand new neighborhood. Similar projects like Mission Rock, Pier 70, and Alameda Point have shown price premiums of 5+% compared to those surrounding markets. When you combine high-income tenants with limited local supply, we're likely to see significant long-term upward pressure on pricing throughout the peninsula. Now you see why those opening numbers weren't just impressive, they were market-defining. 800 housing units, 1.2 million square feet of office space, 15 acres of parks. These 5 developments aren't just reshaping the Bay Area physically, they're creating targeted appreciation zones that smart investors and future homeowners are already positioning themselves around with this knowledge. But knowing about these projects isn't just the first step. The real question is how to leverage this newer insider information before everyone else catches on that these projects exist. Here's something most people don't realize. These targeted appreciation zones and neighborhoods typically see a 3 to 6 month window before broader markets recognize their potential. If you're interested in staying up to date on other projects, we send out a newsletter weekly on anything that we find out at. Please call the number on the screen or email me at hello@theownteam.com. And before you go, if you found this valuable, you'll definitely want to check out my other video, Everything New or Coming Soon to the Bay Area in 2025 and Beyond, where I reveal even more high impact developments that most investors haven't spotted yet or even know about. See you on the next video.